Hi, everyone. Welcome. So in just a minute, looks like we're waiting for a few people to finish taking the poll. Hopefully you can see it, but it just asks about your connection to McKinley as a way for all of us to know who's here tonight. So give it another 10 seconds and then we'll end that poll so we can all see how folks are connected. So I'm going to close out the poll now. And it looks like about 2/3 of you live in the neighborhood. That's wonderful. Really looking forward to hearing from all of you. Looks like several of you, 15% or 14% work, 10% own a business. Some of you visit. And then, you know, other folks have other affiliations with the neighborhood. So thanks for being here. Lauren, are we still, oh, it looks like you're starting to share.
Good? Can we see the presentation now?
Yep.
Awesome, great. So I'm just going to be a little bit blind here. For some reason, I can't see anybody else. But everybody, welcome to the McKinley Hill Neighborhood Planning Kickoff. So glad that you could be here. We had hoped to do this in person, but times are crazy. So here we are, and I'm glad you could join us anyway. So quick overview. There we go, of what we're going to be doing. We're going to go over what the neighborhood planning program is. We're going to talk about how you guys can be involved, and then we're going to spend some time brainstorming in the planathon and then come back together to share all of our ideas. Before we get started, I just wanted to show you the Pelt Tribe land acknowledgement as we are on their ancestral lands.
Arti duf arti swatwiftud atis poyalapaj, a slathasil, alti disha tu alturi tuha.
It is the land right here that the Puyallup people have lived on since the beginning.
This
right here is where we are in the world, our homelands.
Uyayushchas alti swatwiftud atis tu ishachas. Ukachachas tis badadachas. Uoch twati khalalt atis swatufted atis boyalapabs.
We work on our ancestral lands. We raise our children who go to school on the land of the Puyallup people.
Ohegwad chas ti shwananam tliti, ohashitab ti pas pasted okweredu.
We acknowledge that the Medicine Creek Treaty was signed for the whites to take our land for their benefit.
Ohashitab chas atis shunanam tliti atis swatwiftud chas. Otsuti pas pasted squat lup swatwiftud lup.
Land was assigned to our people. The Caucasians said, "This is your land," and they took that land from us too.
Okararitub chas atiswa twiftud chas. Odzak atab tis tliti.
Our land was stolen from us. Treaties were broken.
Toch didich chas a altislachel.
But we are still here today.
Hui chasa tu kwelin chasa tu ish chasa tu alalos chasa tu tol shot sidam.
Our people forage for food and materials, we pick berries, we canoe, we practice our traditional ways, and we speak Twelshutsi.
Just as our ancestors did.
Hoya chas.
We are finished.
Great, and now before I get into the introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Ushka, who's going to say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm really excited to see all of your faces today, and I do wish we could be in person. I'm excited for this neighborhood planning pilot project. It's something me and my council colleagues worked on bringing forward. We haven't had neighborhood area planning for a while in the city of Tacoma, and I'm pretty excited that it gets to kick off right here in the McKinley district. I think that I know a lot of you, but in case you don't, I'm also the district representative for District 4, which is the east side and south end of Tacoma, and I have been for a few years now. The whole idea is that it's to support and help us to build strong, vibrant, and diverse neighborhoods. And we're kicking it off with an anticipation that it's going to last 12 to 8 months of this process. The first 6 to 8 months will be focused on engaging you, our community, and to develop a shared vision among us. And the second half is going to focus on implementation of those visions that we co-create. It's going to focus on building neighborhood capacity and community, supporting a vibrant business district, and enhancing neighborhood identity and character. There's going to be lots of opportunities along the way for each of you to be involved through the planning and implementation, including multiple virtual and in-person community events and a stakeholder committee. I want to also apologize. I can't stay on screen for the entirety of this meeting because I have to be in transit someplace. So in a short time, you're going to see me pop off and come back on with just ears, but I'm still here listening. If you have questions or concerns about this process along the way, reach out to Lauren. She's definitely the key contact, but as your council member, I'm also always here and welcome to reach out again. And also, let me just reiterate my gratitude to seeing each of you today and your enthusiasm for the McKinley Hill area. Thanks. And thank you to staff that's worked so hard to bring this forward.
Great, thank you so much for that. All right, I will get back to the presentation before we jump into our breakout rooms. So we will try this again. Alrighty, is that working now? Can we see the screen?
Almost.
Can we see the screen?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, great. All right. So as Councilmember Ushka just said, they created the pilot program out of the last budget cycle to really respond to the community's need for grassroots engagement, equitable deliverable of services, and helping support just vibrant, strong, and diverse neighborhoods. So out of that, the goals are creating community identified neighborhood, strengths and weaknesses, developing community endorsed neighborhood visions, increasing community capacity and buy-in, building partnerships, identifying potential funding sources and resources to accomplish the goals that the community identifies, and then creating a timeline for implementation. So the way we see this program is the implementation is the goal and not the planning document itself. So the McKinley Hill program will focus on building neighborhood capacity, neighborhood identity, supporting the vibrant business district, creating a healthy and sustainable neighborhood, and then working with Tacoma Public Schools on the reuse of the Galt building site, as well as we will be launching a new community booster grant program of $50,000 to support implementation. And with that, we were hoping to fund people in the community to do the work for the community. So here is the focus area. It's centered on the business district and which is the mixed use center, and goes and expands to the residential area around it. These are very rough boundary lines. There's no specific boundary edge. This is really about who feels like they're part of the neighborhood, who uses and accesses McKinley Hill. So we just drew this as a rough image to show the neighborhood, but just if you're across the street, don't think that you're not included in this. And we also want to think about how people from outside the area access this neighborhood as well. So this is a little bit about the process. Right now we are in the launch program, launch outreach phase. So we're on our little rocket to the future. And what we're going to be doing is all the community engagement. Many of you should have received a mailer in your mailbox. Many of you have participated in the survey, and we'll post that link later, but we appreciate all of your feedback. We have been working internally and externally with all of our partner organizations. So that's nonprofits, that's city departments, that's Metro Parks, TPU, TPS, Public Works, Neighborhood and Community Services, Community and Economic Development. We have Sherry Hart here today from that, and you may know her as the Business District Coordinator. And throughout this whole process, we're going to be doing extensive outreach and engagement so that the neighbors really own the plan and you really own the goals. We're not coming to you with a specific plan of things to accomplish. We're really just giving you a framework and then hoping that you run with it. Out of this, we are also going to be working with the action mapping program. So that is a youth program where we get youth to engage in creating maps and answering information about how they feel about their neighborhood. So we'll be working with high schoolers at Mount Tahoma and Lincoln High School and their families. through that program. And so they will be engaged as well. Let's see. All right, so what's the engagement look like? The engagement is going to involve a stakeholder group that is comprised of people like you. That's going to be a smaller steering committee that really guides the plan. And then for every topic or subject that the stakeholder talks about, there will be a public meeting for the larger community to give input in as well. And that we are including everybody in this plan. So that's residents, that's property owners, that's renters, businesses, members of the neighborhood council, students and teachers, the Puyallup tribe, of course, a very important neighbor and partner in this program. Religious, cultural, and nonprofit institutions, community groups, and gardens. So you may have seen me like blasting all of your Facebook groups with this information. And then, of course, people experiencing homelessness as well. We're looking at the full spectrum of our community. So we will be creating a document as well that will help us, but hopefully it will not be too long or too cumbersome. We will have a consultant on board helping us with the first part, that neighborhood profile, demographics, community resources, all those facts and figures, existing conditions, historic resources. Many of you may remember that last year, the Historic Preservation Office did a McKinley Hill survey on cultural resources. So we're going to use the data that they collected and include that in this plan. We'll also be looking at policy framework from other plans around the city. And then, of course, you guys will be part of the engagement, determining what the issues are, creating the goals, and then at the end, going into implementation, hopefully this summer or fall. So this program is really an enhancement to everything else the city is doing. It is part of the long-range planning office, and it's really to implement all the goals that you see in all the many plans that the city is doing. So, you know, the One Tacoma plan, the Vision 2020, 2025, what are we in now? Which one was it? Or is it 2040? I keep forgetting what number we're on. But our comprehensive plan and our climate action plan and Vision 1 for traffic safety and sustainability. So all of those plans will feed into this plan, and we're really trying to see what do all those goals look like in your neighborhood. So we're not rehashing those plans. We're not necessarily redoing the zoning or redoing the comprehensive plan or anything like that. We're just saying, what do those goals look like and how does that translate into your neighborhood? What does the future of your neighborhood look like? So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Annika Olson, who is the senior planner also supporting this program.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for being here. As Lauren said, yep, I work on neighborhood planning with Lauren, and I'm really delighted to be here this evening with all of you. First things first, I'm going to end this poll that many of you have participated in, because the thing I'm going to talk about is what's our breakout group activity, because we don't want you to be here listening to us for the rest of the night. So in just a few minutes, we're going to break into those groups. And one of the things we want to do as we roll into that is to really think about what have we heard from the past in the community. So we're not, starting at the very beginning. We know that you've all been involved in the community, telling the city what you want. So we want to kind of ground in that as we move into this discussion tonight. So just first things first, what are the things that you really like about McKinley Hill? A lot of you said the proximity to other neighborhoods and to amenities is a big draw, the sense of community, and of course that our business district and retail opportunities on McKinley Ave and around the neighborhood. So so that's great. And then I'll talk about some of the other things we've heard in the past. So on the slide in front of you, you can see these are things we've kind of compiled from engagement over the past 5 years or more that the city has been doing surveys and doing other kinds of engagement, not specific to this program, but just generally. So people, of course, talked about that business district, like you all just noted, the fact that there is that sense of community. It's a residential neighborhood where you can know your neighbors. People also in past engagement talked about environmental improvements and support for that, and preserving neighborhood landmarks and that sense of place. And then, of course, people also talked about had some concerns, maintaining affordable housing, addressing homelessness, improving traffic safety and pedestrian safety, and then generally improving security through things like street lighting and reducing illegal dumping. So again, those are the past 5 years. And then we've also have a survey going on right now, and maybe next slide, Lauren. That survey is specific to this program, and a lot of the things we've heard thus far, will you go back one slide? Yeah. Are very similar to what we've been hearing over the past 5 years. Some things that are really specific that we've been hearing is a real desire for a grocery store, a lot of interest in neighborhood identity and kind of branding, continuing to support neighborhood retail, and then enhancing housing options. And then some of those concerns, again, are quite similar. So yeah, next slide. So we took all of that feedback that we've been hearing, again, we're just at the beginning of this program, but this is just trying to think about what have we heard in the past, and then trying to think about, well, what can the neighborhood planning program that we're all here tonight to talk about, what can that really accomplish? And how do we create some kind of boundaries around, like, what are the tracks that where we can make a difference? So these are the 5 that we've started to identify. We know there's more. So those are arts, culture, and identity, business district vitality, traffic safety and walkability, housing and affordability, and parks, environment, and safety. So those are kind of our 5 categories, and we'll be using those as we roll into these breakout group discussions. Just again, to get your creative juices flowing, here are some example projects that we've been thinking about that might be possible through implementation through this program. As Lauren talked about, and Deputy Mayor Ushka talked about, we have this initial planning phase, but then the intention and plan is really to move into implementation and have some real tangible change. So community identity and branding, that could be like neighborhood signage, art projects, the temporary or permanent, things like murals, neighborhood cleanups or other types of physical improvements, preservation or recognition of historic resources, sustainability or environmental improvements, economic development programs, and then also could include things like proposals for specific sites or properties. So, GALT is one that we know will be focused on, but there may be others too. There may be, a vacant lot that you all say, hey, let's take a look at this and think about what's a long-term vision for that. So it could be, that there could be also longer-term opportunities to make change. Okay, next slide. So that brings us to this breakout group discussion. So the prompt that we're hoping you all can discuss in your groups is thinking about the things you love about McKinley, those assets that you care about, or thinking about concerns you may have or those issues. That's that first column. What are the things you care about or you're concerned about? And then also thinking about what are resources that already exist in the neighborhood that could help address some of those issues or could help support some of those assets further. So those resources could be a person, it could be an organization, it could be a great idea you have, it could be a specific place that you think is really important, a building or, again, like a vacant lot. So really thinking about what's the problem or what's the opportunity, and then what's that solution? And we have some examples here, on the last slide, sorry. Anyway, so some examples just to sort of get, be thinking about, but we know you all have a lot of ideas. So I think, Mary, if we're ready to—
Just before that, let me explain a little bit what we're going to do in our breakout rooms. So we have a shocking 62 people here. So the breakout rooms may be a little more crowded than we thought. We were like, oh, maybe 20 or 30 will show up, right? But Thankfully, we have some great moderators for you. So I will be moderating room 1. Annika will have room 2. We will also have Planning Commissioner Alyssa Torres moderating one room. We will have Senior Planner Wesley Rhodes, fresh from New York City, moderating one room. And then we've got Sherry Hart from Community and Economic Development, who works in the Business District program, also moderating a room. So you can all introduce yourselves when you get to your rooms. There are some icebreaker questions to get the creative juices flowing. And with that, now, Mary, please release us.
And we'll come back in about 30 minutes. I don't know. I don't remember if I said that or if Lauren said that. Any second now.
Okay, everybody, I'm opening those breakout rooms right now. You may or may not get a pop-up on your devices to join. Just sit and just click on yes, and you'll head on over.
And if you do have any admin questions, you can message Mary directly. See you soon.
Welcome back, everyone. I see the room's filling back up again. Really, really appreciate your honest feedback, your thoughts, your willingness to kind of jump in. We've got our group, we had some great ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the great ideas that came out of the other groups. And just appreciate your candor. And I think, you know, as staff, we know, right? We know how people feel about the government, so you don't be shy. You know, we know what that means, and we know what it is to be part of a community as well. So, all right, are we all back? All right, awesome. So let's just go in order of our group numbers. So I had group 1. I'm gonna share my screen with our notes, and Nick is going to do a summary of what we talked about.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I probably don't need to say that, but it's very cool to see as many people as there is here. I live in the McKinley district, so this matters a lot to me. Our group for arts and culture. So Lauren, you just want me to go piece by piece here, just like, okay. So for the arts and culture, I remember, it seems so long ago now, but I remember talking about the idea of being able to integrate all the voices that we have. One of the biggest stakeholders that we have is the Puyallup district, Puyallup tribe. So I think it was kind of a topic of conversation to be able to find an area which we could incorporate that. We talked a bit about murals specifically. I think I brought up the Galt area, the Galt school. There's a lot of real estate there. We also talked about kind of what it feels like to be a neighbor. So like the element of what culture means to us and how we can kind of bolster that. I think that, like, I know a lot of neighbors, but I'm not sure if I've seen all of them. So I wonder what it would take to kind of bring those voices together. As far as the business district and vitality, I think we all like the business area that's been going on. It's really cool to see Dusty's come alive and Lux be a thing. I mean, there's a really cool, Eloise's is, I think, a huge asset here. I think in order to bolster that or grow that, you could incorporate bike lanes. I remember us talking about a connection up L Street specifically with there's a new bridge going in. I think just being able to give some resources to those things that are in place, and especially with the grocery, like we're in a food desert. So it'd be very nice to see whoever, if there is somebody that owns or comes to own that piece of property, that's the church now. If they end up doing something food related, that would be excellent. Business vitality, dog waste, trash containers. I think we'll get to that in a second. Transportation walkability, walkability score, bike boulevards, those types of things. I think that there's a definite need in McKinley. It's nice that there are current efforts to see that infrastructure being put in place is growing that. Like with the new bridge, they have to put in bike lanes. So I think that extending those deeper into the community would be good. the resource that we talked about was vacant space. So there seems to be a lot of like open swaths of grass. There's a community over by Earthwise Salvage that is being used as a big space. So I think like just being able to use the open swaths of land that we have for housing, I think that's the next topic, or I don't know, for what I think somebody talked about, just having the right of way that the city owns up L Street to be able to have some access for hiking or walking, or just an extended sidewalk so people can be safe when they walk down the hill. Housing and affordability, definitely renter support. Displacement maps was something that we have, maybe I think it was Erica that had that. If she could send that out in the chat just for everybody to have that. There was this really cool idea that she had about what does it take to have a displacement? You know, what does that mean, especially in Tacoma? And with metadata out there, everybody has big access to that. So I mean, it seems like, you know, use that for our advantage there. Parks, environment and safety, McKinley Park, Swan Creek, Rogers Park, seems like there's a big, a lot of relevant and yeah, a lot of relevant themes between them: shootings, drugs, you know, nefarious activities. Lighting, I think, could help with that. We talked about utilizing those vacant spaces that I talked about earlier. About pedestrian safety, I think, is a big one. Visibility, having access to homeless, sanitary access for things like where they need to go to the bathroom, because I think it's just a reality, but access to clean water. I think that is it. That's just kind of, I'm literally like reading off the slide there, but that's the oral version, I think.
Yeah,
did I miss anything?
you.
Group one, did I miss anything? Let me just open it up to them.
I will just say the group had an idea for contracting with private security for certain areas. So that was an interesting thought. And then just for the sake of time, we'll hop to group two. Thank you, group one.
And I think group two is Tara, is going to be our report out person. And I know we're getting close on time. So Tara, well, I heard you're a fast talker, so maybe you can zip through this. Thank you. And Lauren, do you want me to share, or do you want to share our group's notes?
I can move to that. Let me find group two.
Or I can share too.
We're getting there.
And go ahead. Well, if you're ready, Tara, go ahead, but we'll also get this going.
Are you pulling up our notes from our?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a tough one.
Lauren, I can just go ahead and share. I got it right here.
Yeah, go ahead then.
So we had talked about beautification along McKinley Ave and adding flags that kind of signify who we are as a neighborhood on all the poles, and slowing down the speed limit through the business district to 20. We probably need a lot more trash cans. It seems like they're just one at each end when we have so much going on, so much trash accumulation with the food bank and sharing care. We definitely could use a lot more. Let's see, 34th and McKinley is going to get an entire new intersection, but I would like to add to that we add some form of art into it, maybe in the middle of the intersection, maybe the new sidewalks like they have in Capitol Hill, rainbow sidewalks would be cool. Let's see, a lot of folks wanted tree planting, curb repair, to actually have curb and gutter. I know it's not all the way possible across the city. Adopt-a-spots. Folks want to learn how to better access the Adopt-a-Spot program and how to connect with the community garden. Litter Free 253 is an event that's happening all the way across Tacoma, and our event will be April 16th. And it will happen out of the Tacoma Christian Center parking lot for everyone. There'll be bags, gloves, pickup tools provided until we run out. We thought important was the community spaces, like golf field for communities. Folks want to walk around the field, And it would be really cool if we had a walking track around it. Galt School would be really cool if it had like mixed use housing, also businesses, maybe some sort of a class system there for the community to use, with maybe a domestic violence shelter in some section, mixed market rate and affordable housing as well. Let's see. The south end of the business district is very wide, so if it was narrowed down, it would slow folks speeding through the area there and make it easier for everyone that comes out onto McKinley at the division point there, Division Street. Let's see, the library. Folks missed the library, that it's been closed, and the community really didn't have a chance to chime in or help out or try to alleviate any of the issues that were happening. It just was closed without any sort of community input. That was upsetting. Oh, I see your message, Steve. Steve says tomorrow at 1 p.m. Lincoln District cleanup. So the south end and the east side are connecting to clean up before the Lunar New Year Festival in the Lincoln District. And that's going to be really exciting. Let's see. Some of the things people wanted a safer Galt or McKinley Park. They wanted to keep it safe. We had a lot of like the smaller parks. There's one at Wright Street and McKinley Ave right there that we contacted the city and they weren't sure if it was their property or somebody else maintained it. But it would be really cool to have that bookend the other park at the other end, the VFW park. So they kind of each had a purpose for community folks to use. Let's see, did I miss anything? Oh, Dome Top and East Side Neighborhood Council meetings. I think she just put it in the chat, but at both of those meetings, there's a lot of information. You can meet with a lot of different city representatives. I think Antonio's in here from Metro Parks. He's at those meetings. You can engage back and forth with all city liaisons and like alleviate a lot of problems just in the meetings, just by attending. The food bank traffic, that's been an issue quite a bit lately. They're alternating the streets the last few times, and I'm hoping that's helping, but doesn't seem like it is.
Sarah, I don't want to cut you off,
Yeah.
but I feel like we should
Please
move
do.
to the next group, but
Please
that
do.
was fabulous. Thank you. And we also,
I'm sure I
there's
missed.
more, there will be more opportunity. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump over to group 3 and hopefully, although maybe group 3 didn't actually have a note taker.
They
Okay.
did.
I took notes like on paper because I did not have access to that quickly. So I will go very fast and very overview of all these notes that I took, because a lot of it I have already heard from group 1 and 2. So lots of beautification, so planting trees, artwork, murals, cleaning up the landscapes, the monuments, things like that. And then there was a suggestion about community events, like maybe chili cook-offs and garden contests and things like that, which I thought was really cool. Of course, lots of needs for grocery, maybe a grocery store being built, affordable housing being built, and questions about the vacant areas and concerns about what is going to be developed in some of those areas. And then, improved police response, that was one concern. And let's see. Oh, and of course, a lot of the notes I have are about accessibility and walkability and ADA ramps and creating sidewalks where there aren't any, things like that. So a lot of great comments in group 3. And again, I apologize for not being the real moderator.
I'm sure you did great, and we will get all that info from you, so it's not going to get lost. Okay, I'll jump over to group 4. And that was, I think, Alyssa's group.
It was. I think my volunteer had a hard stop at 7, but I hope that they're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yay. Okay, I couldn't see you. There you go.
Yeah, so our group went over a lot of things that have already been said. So for time, I'm just really going to try to squeeze the other stuff in that I haven't heard so far. I think a big thing is, adding some curbs perhaps to the pipeline trail that that's not actually a trail, but the street would maybe help with some walkability. A huge housing and affordable housing crisis. I know that was said, but it needs to be said again. Definitely more resources in the neighborhood. We live in a childcare desert, so more assets would be helpful in that area. Tree canopy coverage, we definitely need more trees and green space, which could also help with the dumping issue that a lot of folks have already brought up. And then one person mentioned hardening of center lines to slow traffic. Seattle has done this, and that's a really inexpensive way. And then roundabouts also would be another sort of simpler way to help with traffic flow, which was brought up quite a bit. Sorry, I know I didn't get to everyone's great ideas, but I really want to be respectful of other people sharing out.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you just scroll down, I think we identified Benny was gonna help share from our group.
Hello. Yeah, we had a good discussion, and I'll try to also keep some of our comments to what hasn't been said before. For arts and culture, one of the great things that came from our group was to try to rename McKinley Hill to the McKinley Arts District, so we can kind of affirm and attract some of the things that we want to create in our neighborhood. Everyone's talked about a grocery store. Everyone's talked about that great location. Everyone loves the business district and wants to see it thrive more actively. Other things that we talked about were also sort of said here, but we were talking about getting together as groups for having potentially a street fair, cook-offs, backyard barbecues, so chances for neighbors to get together. Transportation, everyone has talked about, we talked a little bit about speed bumps, especially on East L Street. One of the neighbors wanted to see some paving happen at the stairs that are at the bottom of L Street, where L Street runs into Rogers Park right there. There needed to be, and just more accessibility for wheelchair access on all of the intersection points. We want to try to, as a community, do something to secure and promote the flipping of vacant properties in the neighborhoods, so that every space that's not housed is like not attracting people to our neighborhood to squat. We want to obviously support the food bank. We think it's doing good work in the community. And someone mentioned that maybe if we had a grocery store, that we could help have a reciprocal relationship between Eloise's Cook Pot and the grocery store to help eliminate food waste and support the community. In general, we wanted, of course, to have a continuing and strengthening relationship with our CLOs. So, our officer ollies and things like that, so that we can continue to support safety in the neighborhood. And we also talked about having more community garbage cans, so that those of us in the neighborhood that are picking up trash have someplace to put it. That's not our high efficiency garbage cans that only go out every other week. We, of course, want to have more cohesiveness in the neighborhood. And I think I actually said this already, but potlucks, more murals, more neighborhood get-togethers, longer and better farmers market. just more chances to be together. And also did talk about converting Galt into potentially, low to moderate income housing, retail space, community meeting space, just basically a space to support the community and perhaps attract some artists with some artist loft community space and residential spaces. And I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, group 5?
Awesome. Thank you guys. So many great ideas. So I'm going to switch to our last slide here, and then we'll let you guys pop off. This information that you've all shared will not be lost, and it will be used. You did not just waste your time. We're going to organize everything that we heard into a list of priorities. And then the next thing that will happen is we are convening the stakeholder committee, which will be you guys, and the stakeholders will go through that list of priority and make some decisions on what they want to prioritize. From there, we'll have a monthly public meeting for the larger group to come together, see what the stakeholders are talking about, flesh out those ideas, make recommendations to the city and the partners for implementation. So our next public meeting is Thursday, March 10th, 5 p.m. Zoom again. We are going to have pretty gritty tours kick off with a virtual tour of McKinley Hill so we can get a nice overview of history and culture of what makes McKinley McKinley. We are still looking at people for the stakeholder committee, so please email us, contact us, fill out the poll with your contact information if you are interested on sitting in the stakeholder committee. Limited space for that. That's just going to be a smaller working group. And then as we develop the priorities, we are going to have task forces to work on specific areas. So if art's your passion, we'll have a group working on art to decide what kind of public art we want to do. We'll have a group working with the parks. We can have a group working on Galt when they're ready to work with us at Tacoma Public Schools. So that's where we are, folks. I am so glad you all came out. It was so exciting to see so many faces who were so excited and open to talking and sharing. And like I said, having that candor, I know can be weird talking to the city, the government, all that, right? And I just want to say, we're not scary people. We love constructive criticism. We want to make the changes and improve your neighborhood the way you want to see it improved. And we believe you are the experts on your neighborhood. And you are the people who are living it, doing the work. And we just want to enhance and build on that. So does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I think we are done for now, and you can look out for the next meeting.
Oh, you're asking for a shit ton of questions.
Uh-oh.
Where can we find the recording for this?
Yes.
Because I have a handful of people, 2 people that couldn't actually be on this, and they want the recording. So they just want to know what's going on. So
yes, so that will be on the website at cityoftacoma.org/neighborhood planning. We can send up a follow-up email after this, and we can drop that in the chat as well.
And just a heads up to those of you who are looking for the recording, Zoom is kind of funny. When you have breakout rooms, you actually don't get recordings of all the breakout rooms. We tried to. So if the recordings aren't everything, please forgive us. It's technology reasons, not us.
Yes, but we will post the slides as well.
Hey, Lauren.
Yes,
I see that there's at least one person who has their hand up, and I do want to let folks who need to, I don't know, go eat dinner or whatever, put their kids to bed. I want to let those folks go, but I would be happy to stay on if people have a few questions and continue to answer those. But before we do that, just want to encourage everybody I just launched that poll a couple minutes ago, and we don't want to lose this great momentum and discussion. So there's going to be a lot of other opportunities for your involvement, and we want to keep the conversation going. So please do fill that out before you leave. And if you would like to be involved in the stakeholder committee, please email us at neighborhood planning. And we're still kind of figuring out all the details of that. So somebody asked about timing. So just please be in touch. Don't be a stranger. And with that, we'll let folks who need to go. And anybody who wants to stick on and ask a question, April, I see you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I live like for 34th Street, closer to the bridge. I was just curious as to how we might be more inclusive in reaching out to the community, because everybody in this space clearly has access to the internet, clearly has access to Facebook or however the means of communication reached them. But I do know from my side of the community, a lot of my neighbors are without means, probably to even access the information to get into a meeting like this, but their voices should also be heard. So I was wondering if there were more inclusive ways to reach out to community members that aren't internet-based, maybe going door to door or sending out postcards or something of that sort. There's a lot of multi-generational communities that live kind of in my little pocket of the neighborhood. And a lot of them are very impoverished families. You know, the kids across the street don't even have internet at home, right? So I was just wondering if there was a more inclusive way that some of us can access the information and share it so that those community members can equally be a part of these planning meetings.
Yeah,
Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to say, because of
Lauren messaged me a minute ago and said her computer was freezing, which I think happened again. So I'll just go ahead and start to answer your question. So it's
barriers.
Yep. Oh, Lauren, I'm sorry. I maybe was just talking over Lauren. Maybe she just froze for me, but you froze again for me. So I was just jumping in. Great question, April. Two answers. One is that we would love your thoughts on, we're very open to input. If you have thoughts, or if you talk to your neighbors and they have suggestions about how they would like to be contacted, that would be fantastic. So that's answer one. But also we are thinking about what are creative ways to engage folks who may not have access to internet, for example. Of course, it's hard right now because of COVID to do things in person, but we certainly plan to do things in person. We do a mailer, and we're going to continue to do mailers. So that's one way. We're also hoping to partner with, organizations in the neighborhood to help reach, community members, whether that's setting up a focus group. Lauren mentioned that we're doing this partnership with the Action Mapping Project, which is run through University of Washington Tacoma, but they work in public schools. So trying to get youth perspective in that way. And then also I think we'll be doing some door-to-door outreach as we move along, and there may be, that's something where like community volunteers would be amazing to help with that door knocking in the future. So definitely thinking about what are those methods. I think we're hoping to have, open hours in the neighborhood eventually, and, put up signs. So, but open to your thoughts, and great question. And we're going to keep thinking about it. So.
And I don't know if it cut out while I was saying we are also working with the East Side Community Center, Metro Parks, and the library. So when the stay-at-home order is lifted for the city, we hope to be out in the community there so that you can reach us at your own time and have different opportunities. Unfortunately, like I said, with COVID, we didn't get to do quite the things we wanted to do. So we know that those are barriers.
I see Rob's hand up. And I guess if other folks have questions, feel free to raise your hand as well. But Rob, go ahead.
So my quick question is, I received the Planathon in the mail, McKinley Planathon. How many people did you actually mail that out to? And
over 3,000.
And
so basically, everybody
got 65 people.
Well, not everybody can always attend, but we did mail it out to everybody in that.
Understandable on that, but
yeah.
Being an old school promoter for clubs, I mean that's actually a good number. So I just want to give you a thumbs up, and I'm actually happy to actually see 65 people out of 3,000 actually showing up and wanting to be concerned about the community.
Thank you. And if you've got ideas on promotions, I mean, we're not a club, so we don't have the same, exciting draw.
That's
But if
my
you've got
old
ideas,
old school days. But
please let us know. We can throw up some like strobe lights or whatever, right? I don't know. If
yeah,
that helps.
exactly. But I just yeah, 65 people, not bad.
Thanks, Rob. I see
That's how I find
Antonio's.
out. That's why I find out you have a meeting. Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Alice.
details. Yeah.
Yeah. I see Antonio's hand up.
Yeah, Antonio McLemore with Metro Parks Tacoma. It's an honor to be here. Sorry for popping on late. I was in another meeting, but I wanted to just sort of clarify and provide some additional information. And as you all are beginning to plan around what other options look like as it relates to gathering, is we do not have any COVID restrictions or limitations or barriers around our center or use of our facility. And so, like I said, I wanted to just extend it out there. I know we've been getting a lot of calls from community members or groups and other committees and councils saying, hey, do you have any restrictions? We want to start meeting in person. Do we have an option? So I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there, that as you start, and I understand that just because we have the availability doesn't mean that we either want to expose community members to an open forum, but I just wanted to let you know that as you're thinking about that, it's available.
Thank you. And we do hope to do hybrid so that people can be in person and then watch online as well. Unfortunately, city staff is under a stay-at-home order. And so we are not yet allowed to go out and mingle. So we're trying to do that as soon as we can.
I wish we got on that side of the government. No, I'm just playing.
Right. But we do appreciate you, Antonio, and want to look forward to working with the Eastside Community Center. There were some questions about timing. We can change the times to whatever works for everyone. We just had to set a time for the first one just to get something on the calendar. So we have 5:30 as a start for the first stakeholder committee meeting. Then the stakeholder committee members can pick their own time that works best for them if that doesn't work. Public meetings will start at 5:30. The next public meeting will have a virtual tour starting at 5, but that tour will be available online to view. So if you can't make it at 5, you can watch the video of the tour. The discussion part will start at 5:30. And then we can also change times if people really are saying, hey, that doesn't work. We just wanted to be respectful of your time to not schedule too many meetings, but if you want more meetings, we're here for that as well. I don't know, is there any more questions? Looking through the chat if there were any more thoughts. I saw a lot of concerns about private security. That was merely an idea. Do not worry, there will not be new private security on your streets without anybody's knowledge. That's not a thing that is happening right now. Well,
okay.
Looks like we're all done. Thank you guys. This was really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to working with all of you in the next, over the next months and year.
Yeah.
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes. Nice to see you, Alice.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Nice to see you. Bye.